Alright, what's up you guys? We're going to be doing a build video on the micro X47-B drone, which is what I got right here. I'll just try to hurry up and get into this so we ain't got to make 3 different build videos. So I went ahead and taped my plans down onto my 3mm Dihedral foam sheet. And these sheets come with a little bow in them, so you want to put the crown facing upward. And this side is a little smoother than the back side. Here's some of the pieces we'll be using. This is a thrust vectoring jet, so you will have to watch the build video on building your thrust vector unit, which I already built one here. And this is the top. There's also a battery modification you'll have to make to your battery. What I did was I just cut the plastic off the battery, peeled the 2 batteries apart, just splayed them open like this, and then put blue painter's tape around it. Pretty easy. Alright, let's get into cutting this out. Here's some of the tools we got. We got a straight razor knife. We got an X-Acto knife, a pen, some scissors, and a ruler. I wouldn't suggest this plane for your first build. I mean, if you're going to start building some of my jets, I would start with like the Micro Batwing, or the Eurofighter, or the F-117, and then you can move into some of these builds. This is more of like an expert build. Alright, first thing we got is I'll start with the main fuselage here. And you'll notice I got it marked 45 degrees in with an arrow, so that just means you always make your cuts toward the inside of your piece. And then here I got it marked for the leading edge 45 degree out, so that means you'll be cutting 45 degree angle toward the outside of the piece you're cutting on. Alright, let's get into this. So I'm going to start making my cuts on my main fuselage. And this is a 45 degree angle in. These are all 45 degree angle toward the inside of your piece. I just do this right on my basement floor with a piece of carpet, and that way I can just move things around real fast here. Like I said, we're going to go ahead and make all of our 45 degree angle cuts on our piece. And this is our main fuselage. Actually, these front 4 pieces on the front of this fuselage are at an 85 degree angle, which means you're going to want to put your razor knife at a pretty good angle when you cut into these. Again, I just cut on a backside of a carpet, a little throw carpet here. Basically just follow the arrows. It'll tell you which way to cut. Some of these pieces I just go ahead and do them by hand. And actually you can When you get into these smaller radiuses, I would just go with your X-Acto knife. In the back. This will be the last jet that I build using the it's the little AR-6400 NBL receiver, because I believe they discontinued making the Ultra Micro Striker, and I used that receiver for all these microjets I've been building, and I know they're just going to get harder and harder to find. Now on these front 4 lines, you're just going to want to score them. This is where we've been making our folds. Once you set your ruler and your pieces move around, it really won't matter because you already set the ruler. Alright, before I go pulling that out of there, I might as well just go ahead and cut out the top of the main fuselage. Which again, I'm just following the arrows for my 45-degree end cuts here. On the back, it's not really going to matter what you cut this at, because you're probably going to have to go back and trim it up anyway after you're done building your jet. So I would just go ahead and straight cut that. Now I'll take my X-Acto knife and finish off this piece. And it's just a 45-degree angle cut all the way around it. And I'm just going to rush through a lot of this because I don't want to end up making 4 build videos. There's the top of our fuselage. Now before you go pulling this piece out that we cut out all of our main fuselage, I'll go ahead and just set all these little scrap pieces to the side. Now what you're going to want to do is just take your piece and flip it over, and just like the F-117, you want to tape where we scored those lines. You want to tape across the back of them so that when we go to bend this piece, it just doesn't break into a bunch of pieces. Just like so. I seem to have missed it a little bit here. So there's the top of our main fuselage. And this will be our sides and front. You can see where we went ahead and scored these lines. We flipped it over and we put some clear tape on the back. Go ahead and clean up a little bit of these cuts. Now you can go ahead and score them a little deeper just to make sure your piece bends right where you want it. I'll basically do all the cutting in this video, and then on part 2 I'll do a lot of the assembling. So go ahead and just break them where you scored them. And this is your top fuselage. Just like so. Alright, now we're going to move on to the main airframe here. Again, I'm just following my arrows, 45-degree angle outward. This is always for the leading edge of your wings. I always make it a 45. Turn this around. Yeah, the receiver I use on all these microjets I've built, it came out of the Micro Striker or the Micro S-Bach or the Beast. But this is when they weren't using the AS3X, so you could set the receiver for Elevon mix. But now with the AS3X, I don't know if you can even set those with an Elevon mix. So what I'm going to end up doing is probably just picking up one of those AS3X receivers and start building my jets with that receiver, since it's readily available. And you can still find those little AR6400 NBL receivers, but you just got to look around your local hobby shop or RC groups. Alright, now on the back side of this jet, it's all 45-degree cuts inward. Again, if I wasn't shooting the video, I'd be taking a little bit more time with these cuts, but just kind of got to rush through these. I think that should do it for our main airframe. So there we cut out our main airframe. Alright, I got a template here for making the dihedral in the wing. What you'll do is just straight cut all the lines, cut out your template, and that way when you score your line down the center of your main airframe, you'll run a bead of hot glue, bend it upward, and set it to the angle of this template here, so you can get your dihedral you need. On here I kind of have a little drawing of how you make your thrust tube with the thrust nozzle on there. A little swivel joint in the center connecting the two. You just can watch the build video for building this on the website. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and cut off one of these elevons here, or ailerons, whichever you prefer here. You'll basically want to do it in the steps that I'm showing you too. So I'll just take this, set it on there, and just mark all your corners, just like with the other jets. Then you can use the same template, just flip it back over and use it for the left side. I just take and mark all my corners. And again, you guys, this is more of an expert build, so you might want to start with some of my easier builds before you move on to one of these. I just take and mark out these lines. For this jet here, you're going to have to build that whole thrust vectoring system. Alright, now that I did that, I'm going to take and cut these ailerons off. And what you want to do, put your ruler on there, and you're going to want to cut toward the front of the plane at a 45-degree angle. This is just a real easy way of getting your V-notch cut out of here. Show you this real quick here. Again, on this side, I'm cutting toward the front of the plane. I'll go ahead and just cut these lines straight cut these. Alright, now once I straight cut it up, once I 45'd them toward the front, now you can see that little 45-degree cut. All I'm going to do is just take and back cut that 45. So I'm going to stick this on here, right on the original line, and then back cut a 45-degree angle cut. And there we've created our V-notch in the back, like so. I'll take and do the same thing to the other one. Again, I'm just going on the same line that we cut the 45 into. Just going to back cut it. Just like so. Now we can go ahead and tape these back onto the jet. Before you make your dihedral or anything in here, you just want to get all this taped together, and it's kind of easier to do this way. Just go ahead and use a few pieces of tape. I always try to run my tape where I'm going to place my control horn, so that way it adds a little more strength in that area. So like on this elevon, the control horn is going to be about right there. So I want to make sure I get some tape right up to that area. This little X47-B turned out to be one fun flying little jet. I enjoy flying it up at the park over here. Now if you get bound up on those straight cuts, you can just go back and notch out a little, notch it out a little bit so you got some movement there nice and freely. so. So there we got our elevons cut and taped on. And there's what it did. It created the little V notch there, so that you can get your movement. Alright, so now I'm going to go ahead and make a line, just like on the plans here. There's a line running down the center of the fuselage. Go ahead and line it up with the front, line it up with the back. Just go ahead and mark a line all the way down it. This is where we're going to make our score. We're just going to score it so we can get our dihedral set in place here. Just put it back on my line. And again, you guys, you just want to score this. You don't want to cut all the way through. Just like so. So there, I just scored it. Now it'll fold back up on itself to give you that dihedral we're looking for. If you can see it there. So there we've got our main airframe, our fuselage, and the top of our fuselage. Alright, so let me take this template. We're just going to go ahead and set the dihedral on this plane. So again, you're just going to want to take your template, hold it up to the bottom of your plane, like so. And that'll give you the dihedral you're looking for. I'm just going to use, normally I would just use the foam safe glue. I'm kind of in a hurry here to get this done, and I ain't got time to wait for all that to set up. I'll just go ahead and throw a bead of hot glue down here. Now I just stick it on the template, push down in the center. Give this a second to set up. There's not a whole lot of dihedral in this, that's why I just scored it with the razor blade. I didn't even have to notch it out or nothing. As you can see, it gave us our slight dihedral we needed. And that's going to work in conjunction with like the thrust vector nozzle to make this plane stable, because there is no tail fins on here. Alright, so we got that. Take it back over to our cutting area here. I got a few pieces I just want to trim up a little nice here. So you don't want to cut out for your air intake until after you assemble your top onto this piece. Let's just go ahead and glue this together too right now. What I usually do for this, I'll go ahead and use some pieces of blue painter's tape. Just go ahead and line it up close to where it's going to be. throw some blue painter's tape across here. Sometimes it can be a little tricky, but you just gotta work with it. Kind of set it down on the desk here so I can figure out where it's gonna line up. So. If you guys have to, you can go back and do a little trimming. As you can see, that don't look too bad because we're going to take and end up clear taping over all these little score lines and where their folds are. And then once you paint it, you won't see none of that anyway. Let's go ahead and add a couple more just to get a little strength here. Alright. Put one more. I'll go back over here and do a little bit of cleaning up some of these pieces. Like here, you can come back and straighten out this cut. If you didn't do a good job cutting it out in the beginning, you can always go back and clean it up a little. Just like so. Now I'll take and flip it over like this and add some foam safe glue in here. You just want very little of this, guys. You don't need a whole lot of. So we're going to go back and clear tape all these pieces anyway. Just want to hit it so that just kind of holds it in place. Then I'll even take it from the top. Make sure I get a little foam safe in these cracks. Then wipe off whatever excess there is. You're also going to want to hit some foam safe glue in these cracks in the front, or the lines that we scored. Make sure you drop some foam safe glue down in them. And again, just go ahead and wipe off some of the excess glue. There we have our main fuselage.